Ethan Cross had been searching the depths of the Amazon for 3 days, charting unknown patches of green for his research team. The air was thick with humidity, insects buzzed relentlessly, and the jungle's oppressive silence always made him feel like he wasn't alone. He had grown used to seeing strange things out here, odd plants, animal calls that didn't match any creature. But nothing prepared him for what he found that morning. It was just past dawn when he saw it, a flash of silver amidst the greens and browns. At first, he thought it was metal, some forgotten relic from the crash of an old aircraft. But as he got closer, he realized the truth. Lying between the gnarled roots of a massive tree was a woman, an alien woman. Her skin shimmered faintly like mercury beneath a broken exosuit, light fractals rippling across her as though she absorbed the sunlight. Silvery hair fell over her face, hiding features that seemed human, but not quite. Her fingers ended in faintly glowing tips, and thin, metallic tendrils extended from her wrists like damaged vines. Ethan froze. His brain screamed at him to run, to back away and never speak of what he'd seen. But her breathing was shallow, and the faint hum from her suit made him realize it was failing. She was injured, dying. Against every instinct, he dropped his pack and knelt beside her. Hey, can you hear me?" His voice trembled. The alien woman stirred, opening her eyes. Ethan's breath caught. Her eyes were a universe, a swirling tapestry of stars and nebulae, shifting and alive. She blinked slowly, her gaze locking onto him, and for a moment, Ethan felt like she was looking through him. "Please," he whispered, unsure what he was even begging for. "Don't die." Her lips moved, her voice faint, reverberating like an echo. "Help me." Ethan scrambled for his water bottle, carefully trickling a few drops into her mouth. She flinched, then sighed, her body trembling slightly as color, if he could call it that, returned to her form. Her breathing grew steadier. "I don't understand," Ethan muttered. "What are you doing here?" She lifted her hand weakly, pointing skyward. "Fell escape," her words fractured like glass. "They hunt." Before Ethan could process what she meant, the ground vibrated. A low hum, mechanical, unnatural, throbbed through the jungle. Her eyes widened with fear, and she tried to sit up, failing. "They've found me?" Ethan spun around. Through the trees, figures approached, tall, humanoid shapes draped in armor that pulsed with violet light. They weren't human. Their movements were too fluid, too precise. They carried weapons that hummed ominously, slicing through the foliage. Ethan's heart pounded. "Who are they?" The alien woman gripped his arm, her strength surprising. "Hunters. They want me. And now they'll kill you." Ethan's mouth went dry. "Why you?" Her gaze darkened. "Because of who I am." He looked back at the advancing hunters. "Time was running out. Then we need to move. Now." Summoning strength Ethan didn't know she had, the alien woman rose to her feet, leaning heavily on him. "They will not stop." "Neither will I," Ethan replied, surprising himself with the resolve in his voice. They ran. The jungle was thick, but the alien woman seemed to know where to step, how to move. Despite her injuries, she guided him through paths he would have missed, over rivers through natural caves. But the hum of the hunter's pursuit never faded. Hours later, when they finally collapsed by a quiet waterfall, Ethan couldn't hold it in any longer. "Why do they want you? Who are you?" The alien woman looked at him, and something flickered across her face. A softness, regret, and resolve all at once. "I am Elyra, heir to the Uronian throne." Ethan's head spun. "A queen? A fugitive?" she corrected. "My people are divided. The hunters are loyal to my brother. He seeks to claim the throne, to wield the power of our people as a weapon against the galaxy. I escaped to stop him, but they will not rest until I am dead. Ethan stared at her, processing her words. Why hide here? Why Earth? She glanced at the water, ripples dancing like starlight around her fingertips. Earth is ancient, forgotten. Your kind are not yet aware of what lies beyond the veil of your skies. I thought I could disappear among you. The hum returned, louder now. Ethan turned to see lights cutting through the jungle. The hunters were close. He looked at Elyra, her strength fading again. What do we do? She reached for him, pressing her hand against his chest. You've done enough? Ethan frowned. I'm not leaving you. You must, she said softly, and for the first time, he saw tears, liquid silver, stream down her cheeks. You are brave, but you are human. They will kill you for helping me. Ethan gripped her hand. Then let them come. Elyra's eyes widened. Before she could speak, the hunters emerged from the tree-line, their weapons raised. Ethan stepped in front of Elyra instinctively, arms out as if he could shield her with nothing but his body. The hunters froze. A voice, deep and commanding, echoed from one of them. You would protect the traitor? Ethan swallowed. She's not a traitor. She is queen, the voice finished. Silence fell. The hunters lowered their weapons, kneeling as their armor flickered. Ethan turned to Elyra, who had risen to her feet, her silver glow returning. I am no longer your queen, Elyra said firmly, but I will be your savior. The lead hunter looked at Ethan. Why defend her? Human? You owe her nothing. Ethan smiled faintly, glancing at Elyra. Sometimes you don't need a reason to do the right thing. Elyra's gaze met his, gratitude radiating from her like light. You are braver than many of my kind. She turned to the hunters. Take me to my brother. This ends today. The hunters stood, surrounding her. Before she left, Elyra turned back to Ethan, stepping close enough for him to see the galaxies in her eyes. You will not be forgotten, she whispered. When the skies open, and your world joins the stars, remember me. Then, with a final flash of silver light, Elyra and the hunters vanished into the jungle. Ethan was alone again, but nothing felt the same. The jungle was still, as if the earth itself had paused to watch what had just transpired. Looking up at the sky, Ethan whispered to the stars, I'll remember. And somehow he knew they were listening.